What is up, guys? Just headed home after going to the doctor's. Just had my yearly physical, and I got hit with a stealth tetanus shot, man. I wasn't too happy about that. Basically, what happened was they looked at my records. Let me get going here 1 second. Alright. Okay, so they looked at my records, and I hadn't had a tetanus shot for like 10 or so years, and you know, I'm not a huge fan of needles. I haven't really met anyone who is particularly fond of needles. It's just not something most people get excited about, right? And so I was trying to, you know, not lose my cool, but when the nurse brought out the freaking syringe with the needle on it, I was kind of sweating it out a little, you know, even though I'm a full-grown adult. Still, things like that. Oh, thank you. Still, things like that kind of get at me, and she was at, whoa, this guy's brakes is like squealing like crazy. But so we were talking, and she had actually stuck me with the needle while we were talking. I didn't even notice it. These needles nowadays, man, I tell you, the kids have it easy. The kids have it easy. So speaking of kids, on a completely unrelated note, when I was young, I remember one of my biggest dreams was to become a jet pilot, a fighter pilot, right? And I think that's a pretty common little kid's dream, something that's cool. You know, not a whole lot of people get a chance to become fighter pilots, but I think I took it probably one step further than most kids. I remember I was completely obsessed when I was young. I had all the model airplanes, big and small. I used to draw airplanes all the time as far as like doodling goes. I'd have like my little ruler, try to get the little measurements right. I remember I drew, my favorite types of airplanes were the forward swept ones, and I think that was before, I want to say it's before that whole kind of design trend caught on. But then, of course, obviously it kind of fell to the wayside when they realized that it wasn't really a good aerodynamic design. But I also had this gigantic encyclopedia, and I remember I'd read it all the time. It had all the airplanes from the very inception up until the 1990s. And wow, that guy just squeezed right on by. This is one of the benefits of having a motorcycle. You don't have to deal with those hairy situations like that, man. That guy was like right up on the other guy's side. Jeez. So, I mean, as a kid, airplanes are just so naturally cool, especially to me. Just thinking about all the crazy maneuvers they can do, right? And the pilots, I mean, not a whole lot of people get to experience that, right? And by that exclusivity alone, that already makes it really cool to a kid. But as I got older, I definitely valued just what a great feat of engineering technology it is to get something that heavy, that complicated, up in the air, and in modern times at supersonic speeds. I mean, that's just crazy if you think about it. And more so, to me, flight, it's pretty much the ultimate expression of freedom that humans can have, right? I made a video earlier on about how riding a motorcycle, I mean, it's like, for us commoners, it's pretty much the best, or one of the best ways of really expressing freedom, really experiencing it out in the world, right, versus just being in a car. But being in an airplane is just so much, there's literally, it adds a different dimension to it, right, literally. That's not really to say it's everyone's dream to become a pilot, right? Plenty of people have no aspirations whatsoever. A lot of people actually hate flying, I'm sure. And while I definitely think it's the ultimate expression of freedom, but it's kind of funny if you think about it. If you ask a bird, and if the bird's capable of, you know, talking back to you, when the bird is up in the air, it's probably thinking to itself, man, flying really sucks. If I stop flying, I'm just going to fall to my death, right? So it is a little bit relative, I guess. So, my absolute favorite airplane of all time, and even to this day, even with all the stealth fighters and, you know, the modern day joint attack fighters, stuff like that, my favorite is still the F-14 Tomcat. And if you guys aren't familiar with that particular airplane, it has the variable wing design, right? You can go full wings full back when it's going supersonic, and it's featured in the movie Top Gun. Cheesy movie, but one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's just an amazing feat of engineering. It just looks so striking, so beautiful and striking, right? And then some close runner-ups. Love the P51. That's a classic design. Not much to say there. Also, the Mirage and the Tornado, pretty much the best things to come out of Europe. I think they're both European. Oh, hi, Cop. And of course, I mean, going back to the World War II stuff, of course the P-51, but the Spitfire and even some of the German airplanes were just amazing. I mean, they just, even to this day, you know, seeing them fly around in the air shows, it still makes the hair on my back of my neck stand up. And it's just like, it's such an amazing experience just watching them from the ground. Like, you can only imagine the adrenaline and all the, you know, all the things going through the pilots' heads when they're flying. But of course, you know, it can be monotonous too. A lot of those sorties are like 9 hours plus in the modern day and age with refueling and crap like that. But yeah, in the back of my mind, there's still a little piece of me that's like saying, like, you know, Theocletian, you're still, maybe you have time still to become a fighter pilot, right? Maybe there's still time. But we'll see. Well, hope you guys enjoy this little video. Think about, you know, when you were young, what kind of things you wanted to be when you grew up, and where you ended up relative to that. Hopefully it wasn't too far away. But yeah, it's always good to reflect back on what was important to you when you were young. But yep, stay tuned for future videos.